Hello, my name is Jay Ganamano, and today I will be discussing all of the experiences I encountered at DDI. For this presentation, these are some of the topic goals I created as a way to structure how the presentation will be shown and what you can expect. History and background, location and setting, mission and services, information and population, and experiences at Smithtown. First, it would be in our best interest to discuss what DDI is. DDI, also known as the Developmental Disabilities Institute, is a non-for-profit organization that prepares children, teens, and adults for real-world encounters by creating a safe and productive learning environment. Displayed on screen are just a few of the many different ways DDI takes care of their attendees. Now let's discuss some general information about the internship experience and DDI. I attended the Smithtown location, their Children's Day program, which encompasses ages 14 through 21. However, there are also different programs set out around Long Island that take care of infants, adults, and more. As I'm sure you could have guessed already, DDI takes a specific population of attendees, primarily those with autism and Down syndrome. Here are some of the geographical characteristics of DDI. The Smithtown location has a temperate climate. It is developed and within a suburban community type. The Institute is within a neighborhood and is very private with its own section at the end of Hollywood Drive. When you first enter, a sign will show saying to please turn down loud music you may be playing in your car. This is vital to keeping the peace and focus for the students in their learning environment. Here are just a few of the other locations of DDI on Long Island. Now for some history and other important information. DDI was founded in 1961 in the basement of a family's home on the island. A group of parents wanted to create a healthy learning place for those with developmental disabilities. That being said, it outgrew the basement and has now become a multi-site agency, offering residential, educational, and vocational services in addition to transportation and service coordination. John Lessard, the executive director, is determined to fulfill the legacy of DDI's great reputation and furthering it at that. One thing I learned firsthand was that this organization follows these core values very well. These 4 core values include integrity, dignity, compassion, and teamwork. Now I would like to briefly talk about my experiences at DDI, and I'd like to start with orientation since it is like the first impressions of sorts. When I first walked into the school, I noticed right away how clean it was, and this is something I look for in anything. From my view, if a place is clean, the staff care about their work, and it shows that no matter what they do it with excellence. The next thing I noticed was how kind everyone was. Everyone I met at orientation was informative, welcoming, and engaging. Questions were welcomed, and the presentations during orientation were shown professionally and with a structured schedule of when they were being presented. The last thing I noticed, which I felt all throughout my time at DDI, was the feeling of being equal. I appreciated this the most. I never felt as though I was above or below anyone else. Even John Lessard, the executive director, came personally to welcome us, and he too was kind, compassionate, and all of the characteristics I just listed previously. It would be impossible to present all of my experiences from DDI in a single presentation. So here I have some of the tasks I completed and what I can take away from them. Through the internship, I observed students, watched behaviors start and end, and sat in on treatment plans and many more. Through this experience, I also learned many things that are needed to continue in this field. Patience is the first and foremost. Alternatives are important in the fact that one coping mechanism for one student may not work the same for another student. Their environment and technology also plays a strong, vital role too. One thing I was very impressed with is that there are students that are nonverbal, and yet they use these iPad-like devices that when they tap an icon on the device, it verbalizes the icon out loud into an auditory word or phrase. So students can ask for specific foods, use of facilities, and other desires just with the click of a button. Like any place, there were definite strengths and weaknesses that I noticed while I was there. One strength of DDI is all of their available resources. Having a residential option, transportation services, a gymnasium, and many other assets is what makes DDI such a successful organization. However, like any organization, there are always weaknesses, which is to be expected. Often getting the right amount of staff is difficult. If someone takes a sick day, it can be very difficult to figure out who will manage each student and how many students. Some students comply better with specific staff. I also noticed that many adults in their 30s work here, and thus I noticed that many staff were on maternity leave or were about to go on maternity leave, which affects the staffing too. Lastly, a weakness in this field is that it's difficult to find employees, as this job is no doubt difficult and a lot of patience and hard work is required. I'd just like to point out that these things such as staffing and maternity leave are not weaknesses, as they are obviously out of the control of the organization, especially DDI. The reason that I bring these things up, though, is to stress the importance of how much DDI relies on their staff and how every single employee in the company relies on every single staff member and their availability. Overall, I really enjoyed my time at DDI, and I remember after the third day, I didn't think I would make it through the rest of the semester. It takes a very special person to work in this field, but I was able to complete the entire semester, and more than that, I actually enjoyed my time at DDI so much that I was actually disappointed when I found out I could no longer attend DDI because of the national pandemic of COVID-19. However, all of my experiences helped shape me and my goals in this field, and I'm very grateful for all of the staff and students I met while at DDI. This concludes my presentation on my internship and experiences with Smithtown's Developmental Disabilities Institute.